What is up, YouTube? JankyYGO here. My name is Michael, and today we're doing something a little bit different. So, usually, this channel has become more of a Master Duel channel, which is fine. Yeah, I like our Master Duel content that we've been putting out. But we're doing something a little bit different, and that's me talking about something Battle of Chaos, which is why we're on the official database's Battle of Chaos page. Very well, I'll put in air quotes. And that's giving legacy support. So now legacy support, for those of you who don't know exactly what that term means, maybe if you're coming in from like another game like Magic the Gathering, which has a format called Legacy, Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have a format called Legacy. What legacy support is a reference to is old decks getting new support. So in this set's case, it's Dark Magician and Blue Eyes getting even more support, which is something I really wanted to talk about, and I'm going to give my opinions on legacy support and all that, because I know a lot of people like legacy support and some people don't. And my take on it is, if you're going to give legacy support, it should be to decks that really need it. In my opinion, Dark Magician and Blue Eyes don't. I know that anime fans love those two cards and stuff like that, but personally, as someone who I've watched all the anime, or most of it, I should say, I've watched all the first season GX and 5Ds, but as someone who grew up, with Dark Magician and Blue Eyes White Dragon, I think it's time we give the deck a rest, and give it to more deserving decks. There are other cool strategies and stuff like that that could use it. If they want to, make a whole archetype and stuff like that around another old card, they should do it. I think that would be much better, in my opinion, than focusing on Dark Magician and Blue Eyes. So, a few examples of cool decks that they could build around would be like the Celtic Guardian or Celtic Guards and stuff like that. You could build a whole deck around Celtic Guards. They only have 3 at the moment, but you could build a whole. They could build a whole archetype around that, which kind of brings my to the next point about legacy support. Is that a lot of times when they give these decks legacy support, if they were already a decent deck or a good deck, the legacy support doesn't do anything, unfortunately. And then if the support on the flip side, excuse me, on the flip side, if the support is too good, the whole deck becomes centered around getting that new support, because the old support can't quite hold up. So we saw that in like Aliens, for example. I know Aliens aren't a very good deck, but just bear with me here. In the new Alien supports and stuff like that we've gotten over the years, the old Aliens are very, very bad and stuff like that. But the new Aliens are pretty good, especially their Link and their 2 Link monsters and their search spell that is also a Foolish Burial. So we got cards like that, and those are very, very good cards, and the deck kind of is centered around them even more than the old support and stuff like that, which means that like a lot of the support gets left in the dust and all that, which like it kind of brings it up to like different issues. And then they do have, like, as you can see, they have a bunch of the Dark Magician and stuff like that support is all right here, and I think that I'm just saying that while I do like legacy support, as it does make cool decks playable and stuff like that, or older things sometimes playable, and sometimes gives them a boost right up. We saw this with Volcanics. We saw this with when the Atlantean Prince came out. It brought Mermails back into the meta for a little bit. Stuff like that. It's really cool when legacy support is done right. However, I don't think Konami has been doing legacy support the correct way recently, and it's really like getting tiresome to see, in my opinion, because legacy support, when it's not done right, it's just feels like they're trying to grab your nostalgia bait, and they're just trying to like grab you and be like, hey, look, you should buy this set. We got more Dark Magician support. We know how much you like Dark Magician and Blue Eyes and stuff like that, even if the support isn't very good. At least from a meta perspective. And these decks, keep in mind they're not usually super meta relevant anyway, but it is like, I think that, I don't know where this, I think that if it's done right, it's really, really good. That's just what I'm saying. And I think that it should be, if you're going to give a deck legacy support, you should make sure it's done right and through the hoops. Charmers, for example, while the Charmers aren't a good meta deck and they're not amazing, as in terms of strength, they are that is a good legacy support, I will say, because what it did was it took cards that weren't playable and made them playable in some kind of capacity, even if it's more for a casual crowd. And I think that that's fine. That's a fine way to do legacy support as well. If you take a strategy that's not playable, like Moki Moki, Gorgonix, some older strategies and stuff like that, that have a few cards and they have, a theme kind of centered around them, but they're not really that good, or the theme is not quite there. I think that is what you should do if you are, if you're like gonna build a new deck around it, or you're gonna give a deck legacy support. Make some of those old themes that are kind of cool more playable, is what I'm saying. But that is going to do it for this video. You can tell me what you think in the comment section down below. Overall, I think legacy support is a mixed bag. On one hand, you got good. The goods are, it can bring decks back out of retirement and give new life to them. It can make people more excited to buy a set and stuff like that if their favorite archetype is getting support. And it can do, it gets people, it makes unplayable decks sometimes playable, pretty much. The cons are, sometimes the new support outweighs the old and there's no real point to playing the old and stuff like that, which I count as a downside, because the downside is that, like, a lot of people, if they like the deck, and they're gonna end up kind of having a mixed feeling about that strategy. Next, the second con is that most of the time it's just trying to play on your nostalgia bait, so that you're like more willing to buy a set for it, even if the card isn't very good, or the cards. Third, I forgot to mention this earlier, but the third point I should bring up is that most of the new cards are terrible, or they're only one-offs. They bring literally one card back, or for one piece of support. And what that does usually is, it means that it's either you have to run it at 3 or you don't run it at all, and it's usually still not enough to bring a deck into the forefront, with the exception of Volcanics and Atlanteans. But I've rambled on long enough about my thoughts on legacy support. If it is your birthday today, happy birthday. And if you want to send me any cool deck profiles or replays, send them to my business email, JankyYGO@gmail.com. And of course, and as always, have a wonderful day.